Hello my friends, I have a quick little game to show you that can be played solo or two-player. It is an inexpensive, fun little filler game. I think I saw it recently for about $8, which is kind of a steal. It's very pretty. It's not a brain burner that's a huge challenge, but it is a nice little game when you have a little pocket of time to fill. It's also a lovely game if you have a partner who isn't really into playing board games. This is one that I think you could probably entice someone to the table with. Shahrazad, what's the point of this game? Well, loosely the theme is that you're trying to tell a story, of course, and the better your story is, the more points you score. And the artwork is super cute for this one as well. There are, like I said, two modes. The first being solo games, solo mode, and you have a little score chart here to see how well you did. And it has a really neat little tracking system that I really love. So up here, I don't know if you can see this, it says score in tens and then your score in digits. And all you do is you line it up. So if I line it up on the 10 and the 2, I know I have 12 points. And so you're slowly sliding this up to track your progress. On the back, it's the two-player scoring. Again, your little legend to see how well you did, and you track it the same way by sliding it up. Super cute way to keep track of things. Totally not fiddly. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. I wish, more games would come up with such an ingenious way to keep track of score. But what are you doing in this game? All right, let me just dump it out here and show you. The game consists of a bunch of these tile-like cards. They're such a pretty color too. And the cards themselves are different color schemes which represent different storylines. Now, as far as I can tell, there is no pattern to the pictures, but the pictures tend to be sort of like Jack and the Beanstalk, maybe a little bit fairy tale-ish. They're also, interestingly enough, named after I think it's the major arcana from tarot cards, the Hangman, the High Priestess. I don't know if there's something you can do along the lines with that. I'm just showing you the basic game. You'll also have a number in the corner. And the most important part, however, is down here on the bottom. And at the bottom, you'll see a number progression. And this tells you basically the chapters of this particular story. So these gold cards, the story wants to be told in the following chapters. You start with chapter 2. 4, 7, 12, and we're going to end at 17, all right? So that's the chapter progression you want for the gold cards. Let's see if I can pull some other ones. Here we go. For the blue storyline, it's a longer story. It starts at 1, 5, 8, goes up to 20. The red storyline, I think, is probably the longest. It starts from 0 and it goes up to 21. So you want to be playing these tiles in such a way that they're connected numerically and by color. So for example, if we flip these over, here we go. Let's see if I can find here. Perfect. So in order to score the most points and make the most cohesive and lovely of story, we would want to play the High Priestess, followed by the Emperor, followed by the Chariot. All right. That follows that number pattern of 2, 4, 7. If we play out of order or we skip numbers, we're going to lose points and you're not going to score as high. The idea is you want to complete your chapters in a way that makes sense. That's pretty much the entire game. You turn all these over, we're going to give them a good mix up. The only other thing you have to learn is how you're allowed to place tiles, all right? And I believe in a solo game, you're playing columns. And your columns can only be 4 high, all right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's say that this is my column. And if that's the case, where can I play my next cards? All right, so my next cards have to be played offset. So for example, if I pulled the 9 of black and I decided I wanted to complete this on the black storyline, I could either put it down a half step, up a half step on either side. Down a half step, up a half step. If the column wasn't complete and it was just a 3 stack, I could also put it on top. However, you read the story left to right. So ideally, I would want chapter 9 before chapter 18. I would want chapter 21 after chapter 6. And then if I pulled chapter 16, I would be in trouble here, right? Because I guess I could put it up here, but my story will be out of order. I can still read this line, or I could read this line, but I can't read all three of these. And you'll see that once we start to play. The game itself is very simple. Draw a tile, place a tile. You're allowed one special thing you can do, which is replace a tile, but we'll see that as we play out. So let me give these a good mix and we'll play through. We'll see what sort of story we can make today. So to start the game, you turn over one tile in the middle. We got the Hermit, Black Story, bam, and we get to take 2. We also picked 2 more black stories. All right, well, I was lucky. Okay, so let's talk strategy a little bit. We know that this story is going to need 4 columns to tell. So we're going to need 9 is the very first in this story. So this is going to be way down here. And after this, I'm going to need 3 more columns, a 13, a 16, and an 18. So I know right away that I'm going to be building this way with black, this way with other cards. All right, so this is a nice little starter card. On my turn, I have to play 1 card from my hand. Now I don't have the 13, I have a 16 and the 18, but that's okay because I can replace it later on. So for now, we'll stick these 2 together, knowing that this hopefully will be swapped out for a 13 later on down the road. And let's pull a card. We picked the 4. All right. We've changed colors. We're now on yellow. There's 4 colors total. And this is the second chapter in this story. So we know yellow guy has to go here. All right. You have to place next to another tile. So I can't place him way down here and leave space. I could place him down here if I wanted to, but I want to put him as far down column-wise as possible. Here's why. As number 4, I know here I'm going to have 1 column before him. I'm going to have a 4 and then a 7, a 12, and a 17. So you can kind of visualize how you're going to be building here. Holding on to this 18 because it's way down in the deck. And now we're going to pull 19, the Sun. Oh my goodness. All right, this is a really long story. This is the second to last card. So ideally, I would want this card to fall in the same column as the Tower, which is also the second to last card in this story. But remember, we're going to be moving the Tower, right? We're not happy with the Tower location because it needs to go 9, 13, 16. So technically, the Tower is going to end up in this column. So eventually what I want to do is replace this with a 13, put the 16 here, and then finish it with the 18. All right. This is still in my hand. I'm just going to show you this. So my story will read 9, 13, 16, 18. Okay. Then that will be done for this story. This guy here is going to go 19, 21, 15. So I can kind of visualize where things are going. This is way out of place. He needs to be way down there. But for now, we can replace later. The end of our story is looking pretty good. We kind of know how things are going to wrap up for black and red, which is great. Beginnings, not looking so good. All right, 15, the Devil. All right, so he needs to be in the 3rd. Here's my 19. 15, 19, right? So I know we've been planning this. This is going to be my 15. Okay. Okay. Blue 14. All right. And this is almost the end of Blue's story. So we have some choices here. Now, at the end of the game, one of the things you do when you score is you make sure that your chapters are told in the right order. And what that means is if you have any cards with a higher chapter before a lower chapter, you will get penalized. All right. So even though this red story is still being told correctly, I've skipped too far ahead in blue because 15 is higher than 14, right? 16 and 15 are lower than 19. That isn't going to matter. But 15 is going to cause a conflict right here because 14 is higher than it. So while I could place it here and maybe that would help me, I will lose points and lose out on my blue story because I've told it too quickly, right? I've told the red story too quickly, the blue story too slowly. Does that make sense? So not only are you placing the cards in order of the storyline, you also may want to make sure that your values are progressing from low to high for each column. If you skip too fast on one story or you're too slow on the other, we'll get penalized at the end. So sort of another layer you have to be thinking about. So I know I really don't want to put my blue story here. Even though I could, I will lose points. So if I put my 14 here, the next in blue story will be a 20, and that is the right progression, 15 to a 20. So I'm gonna put blue down here for now. The problem is, as I'm sure you can see, we're only allowed 4 cards in our column, all right? Which means we've almost maxed out here, but I feel like it's the way to go. So let's try this. 13, great. This was the one we were looking for. So let me show you how replacing works, all right? And, oh, interesting. I can replace one of 2 things here, all right? When you replace a tile, all you do is you put one down and you pick one up. Okay, you have to replace it one for one, so I can't move them around while I'm doing it. And I can either at this point replace my 13-16 combo, right? If I do this, I end up with 9, 13, and what would be a 16 here. But remember, my last card's an 18. So if I do that, I've messed up my story. I've gone from 19 to 18. I could swing it super high, but that starts to get risky. Okay. So the other thing I could do, which one was it? It was this way, right? Yeah. I could also replace the 9 with the 13. And if I do that, now my 18 falls right here. And my number grouping is much nicer. Remember, this is the end of the 8. This way I end my 18 story right there, okay? If I end my 18 story right there, I think we're okay. Now, we only have 1 card in our hand, so on my next turn, the rule is I'm going to, oops, sorry, I'm not going to play the 18. Ha, this should be in my hand as well. So I've replaced the 13 for the 9, okay? I have 2 cards in my hand, so at the next turn, I'm going to draw a card, and I have to play 2, and I'm not allowed to replace. I must lay down 2 cards. Isn't a problem because we have 2 that we can slot in beautifully. So this is a really nice replacement. All right, I pulled a 5, which is way down here somewhere. So let's not worry about him. Let's play our 2 cards that we know we want to play. We're going to play the 9 up here, kind of boom, and we're going to play the 18 over here. And we have finished our story for our black cards. We have 9, 13, 16, 18. All right, we're done with them. Now, back to our normal turn, draw 1, play 1. Okay, that's great. We pulled the 20, which is wonderful because we have the 14 and the story is 14, 20. So I know that this card wants to go here. And checking the math, it all works out. We have 15, 14, and that's lower than 20. The next card in this story is going to be a 21. 20 to 21, we are okay there. All right, so I know I want to hold this spot for the end of the red story. Okay, This is the end of blue, this is the end of black, this is the end of red. So I know I'm going to be building this way. So with that in mind, let me shift these for you just a little. All right, new card. 10, red 10, all right? The 10 story is 10, 15, 19, 21. 10, 15, perfect, perfect. And then, so so I have to start thinking about yellow, all right? Yellow ends on card 17. Okay, so we know that the yellow story ends on card 17. So I would like, if possible, I can either have yellow end up here or way down here, okay? If I want 17 here, this would be 12. Okay, okay. So let's think. This is so hard to decide. The other way you lose points is if you have holes in your story. So if I was to play the red down here, okay, and I never get around to filling this spot, I'm going to lose points for it. All right. Now, it makes it a lot easier to complete my stories because I'm leaving myself a lot of options, but I don't want a hole at the end of the game. So you're kind of incentivized to play it up here, which is a little bit scary because that means I have to play my yellow story up here. I'm not going to be able to play it down here. Ooh, yeah, I don't think I want to do that. That would be a 12. That would be 12, 17. I mean, I could. Let's try it. Let's try it. Why not? Okay. 1. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, that's really terrible. This is the beginning of the blue, and I'm nowhere near that. So I have a 5. So I know I need to go 14. I know this one needs to be the 11. I know this one needs to be the 8. So that means this one's the 5. Okay, if I visualize that correctly, this one's the 5, and this one's being replaced for a 6. Oh man, all right, let's see. 6, all right, this is the one we were waiting for. Okay, so we've decided we want to replace him with a 6. Now I have 2 cards, so I'll have to play 2 next turn, all right? So that's my 3. Okay, okay. Does that make sense? I think so. Oh, a 12. All right, so this is the end of yellow. Oh, shoot. Okay, so where's yellow ending? Okay, so we need to plot out yellow. And yellow's going to take 5 columns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, the problem is the highest yellow card is a 17. So I have to be a little bit careful that I'm not telling my story out of order. So let's say I play a 17 and a 12. So the 12, 13 will conflict, right? I'm out of order there. So let's reverse it here. Let's say I play a 17. That works. A 12. That works. A 7, a 4, and a 2. Okay. Okay. What did I just say? 17, 12. So I need the 12 here. Okay. So I'm going to commit to yellow on top, in which case, let's see if we can make this work. All right. And I have to play 2 of them, remember? But that's okay, because I know how blue ends. Blue ends here. Okay, draw 1. 2 and a 4. No, it's not what I wanted. Okay, okay. So this is 12. This is 7. I'm going to have a gap. Oh, darn it. I'm going to have a gap. Oh, well. because that's going to be my 4. I should, I'm going to have a gap. Shoot. Oh well, it is what it is. You can't be perfect, right? Okay, here's my 11. So toward the end of the game, once you have a good pattern going, things kind of fall into place. That goes here and here. This is my 0, 6. Oh no, I won't have a gap. I can put 3. 6, 3. This will be my 0. I hope I haven't jammed up any of my numbers. I haven't been paying attention. 21. Oh no. No, I saved a spot. I saved a spot. Oh my gosh, heart attack, heart attack, heart attack. Okay. 17. We saved a spot for you here. 3, you're going to fall here. A 7, we saved a spot for you there. There we go. A 2 and an 8. Okay, okay. Now, now comes the hard part. Figuring out if you have logicked this correctly. And we're going to start scoring some points. So the first thing we're going to look for is any storylines that were told incorrectly. So we're going to check and make sure every card touches a card in a higher value. So 0 and 1 is touching a 5, we're golden. 0 and 2 are touching 3 and 4, we're fine. 4 is touching 7 and 9, 3, 9 and 6, 5, 6 and 8. All right, 7 on 12, 9, 12, 13, 6, 13, 10, 8, 10, 11, we're looking good. 12 to a 17, 13, 17, 16, 10, 16, 15, 11, 15, 14, and good, 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 14, 20, good. Okay, so number-wise, we have paced our story well. We don't have any chapters, any progressing too fast or too slow. So we get to score some points. And to do that, we're going to count how many tiles in a row in which the story progresses correctly. So 2, 4, 7, 12, 17. We got them all right, so we would be scoring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 points. And that's where this cool little duty comes in. We're going to put them right in the middle. And for our yellow story, we scored a whopping 5 points. All right. For the black, we did 1, 2, 3, 4. So that gets us up to 9. For red, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 9 plus 7 is, mental math, 16. 16 is right here. And the blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, 16 plus 7 is 23, I believe. Did I do that right? 23. Okay, now I gotta move these and hold these. All right, so what would have happened if we had messed up? We planned very well. We don't have any holes in our story. We're now gonna play what is gonna be called the second night. We're going to pick one column and keep it, any column we want. And then we put all the cards together, mix them up, and play again, starting from whatever column we decide to pick. But let's say we hadn't told our stories so well. Let's say instead that I had messed up somewhere and I had some cards out of order. For instance, let's say this happened, all right? And we're going along, everything is fine, and then the yellow story goes off the rails, okay? What'll happen is that if a tile is touching a lower number, you flip it, okay? So, for example, this 18, 19 is touching a 17. We're gonna flip the higher number tile. So we would flip over 18 and 19, all right? And now when we were counting our points, you can see that our red story would be cut off, okay? And we would only count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for red and 1, 2, 3, 4 for yellow. The other thing that happens is these cards get removed from the game. You just gotta memorize that, hey, 18 of black is gone, 19 of red have gone. Face down, back in the box, and you play again. But you're missing 2 pieces of your story. You have to remember that. And you're going to score less points because your story isn't going to be able to be as long. Does that make sense? So the other thing, so you want to make sure that you're in order. Everything's touching a lower number. If it's not, it's going to get flipped and taken out for your second night of storytelling. Obviously, for the second round, we want to keep like a middle column, probably one of these two, so that we would know which way to build off of, and we would try to recreate this tableau in the exact same way on the second night. Trying not to get out of order, trying not to skip points. It's much harder if you have tiles removed, if you don't get a perfect layout your first time out, because then you're trying to remember which part of the story is missing, and then all of your columns and rows get shifted. This is one of those wonderful, thinky little games that I love because it's a puzzle, but you can solve it. And if you plan ahead correctly and sort of visualize where everything is going to go, you can get a lovely, perfect layout. Kudos. Now do it a second night, right? It's not one and done. You got to do this guy twice. And then you score your points and you see how you did. On a two-person game, you're playing cooperatively, which is really, again, which is what's so lovely about getting this game to the table. You can't show each other your tiles, but you can say, ooh, I can play here, I can take care of red, what can you cover type of a game. And you're trying together to tell this beautiful story. I think that's enough. I think I've shown you it. Because we didn't have any holes, it's not as exciting to watch night two. I apologize for planning too well. But sometimes it's fun to play a game that you can actually win. It's pretty, it's small, there's not a lot of shuffling or setup, and for about, $8, can't go wrong. I think this is a cute little game. I think it's a pretty little game, and I think it's a very accessible game. So if you're ever looking to fill your cart, if you need to hit $50 for free shipping, or you want to get somebody a game for a present, I think Shahrazad is not a bad option. I actually enjoy playing this one. It's light and fulfilling and just thinky enough that I walk away from it refreshed as opposed to like exhausted and angry. So this is my little quick solo board game for you. Hope you're all doing well, and I will see you soon.